You get the opportunity to find out the truth behind one unsolved case. Which are you choosing? If you're from Mexico, the Ayotzinapa case where 43 students were taken and murdered, there has never been an official statement from the Mexican government, but it's suspected that the government and the militia were involved in the kidnappings. There's a documentary on Netflix if someone is interested. 2 boys I went to school with were killed in a hit and run by the side of the road while walking home from a party. According to some reports, only one of the boys died from being hit by a car and the other appeared to have been beaten to death. It's been 20 years and no one has ever confessed or offered any information about the case. For all my French Redditors here, I will say the Xavier Dupont de Ligons case. The guy killed all his family and buried them under his concrete deck, before disappearing completely without leaving any traces, and it has been more than 10 years. What happened to Madeleine McCann? The disappearance of Malaysian airline Flight 370 is up there too. The Atlantic did a super in-depth write-up on it. We will never know with 100% certainty, but it seems as certain as possible that the pilot basically committed suicide after depressurizing the cabin to kill all the passengers, then flying for as long as possible before nosediving into the ocean. It's the only thing that makes sense consistent with the debris they have recovered. I think the prevailing theory is that the pilot locked the co-pilot out of the cockpit, depressurized the cabin and took everyone out as soon as they left Malaysian airspace, hence no distress signal. He then flew north and then a sharp turn left where he went in and out of Thai airspace. He then flew over Penang, his hometown, where he turned, possibly to take one last look at the place he grew up. He then flew as far south into the Indian Ocean as he could, where he remained alive until fuel ran out, and he did a soft landing into the water, hence leaving the plane as intact as possible so that it'd sink as one piece rather than disintegrate. They found some pieces in East Africa that show a part of the wing slightly damaged, which proves supports this theory. Several experts have agreed on its likely location, but no one wants to spend the money. Also, Malaysia doesn't necessarily want the plane found because they'll be hit with lawsuits. For them, it's a no body, no crime situation, so they're not trying too hard. I think most of the money spent on helping find it has come from Australia. Edit. Grammar and language. The cabin masks would have dropped, but they only generate enough oxygen for about 10 minutes. After that, people would have lost consciousness from lack of oxygen to the brain. The air at 35,000 feet, the altitude at which jetliners cruise, is too thin to keep humans conscious. I hope they all died without ever really knowing anything was wrong. The Germanwings pilot who took down his plane did it with everyone in the cabin aware of what was happening, terrified and screaming. Awful way to die. What a fucking bellend. Being suicidal is one thing. Being such a coward you would kill hundreds of innocent people including children so you can die mysteriously and not have people know you couldn't cut it? Yeah, fuck off. Ranks up there with mass shooters far as I'm concerned. Pathetic. As a mentally ill person I always say, mental illness is no excuse to be an asshole. Cabin pressurization is normally automatic, but can be done manually from the cockpit. Main reason you 100% want that lever is that if, for example, the plane landed but the auto systems didn't depressurize the cabin, it would be physically impossible to open any doors. Pilots are one of the professions where a great deal of trust is required, and sadly occasionally something tragic like this happens. Malaysian airline Flight 370. This one bothers me, though I fully accept the best explanation that this was a suicide designed to be mystery. It is just so awful though to think that somebody deciding to kill themselves had so little regard for other humans that they would just take hundreds of others with them. Asha degree 9-year-old girl left her house in the middle of the night, while it was storming and cold, with a pre-packed bag of clothes. She had no reason to run away, and had limited computer access. A truck driver said they saw her walking that same early morning on the dark next to the highway, and that she ran into the woods. Over a year later, her backpack was found wrapped in a plastic bag about 26 miles away, which didn't yield any further developments. Why did she leave? Why did she run from the trucker? How did her backpack end up so far away? Is she still alive? Was she met with foul play? Edit. Wow, did not expect this big of a response. Glad to see that she is clearly not forgotten, and hopefully one day the case will be solved. Folded hands, light skin tone. I always take no reason to run away with an extra large grain of salt. Also, limited computer access could mean many things, and that's what people knew about. A hidden cell phone negates all of that instantly. Edit. Many people have commented on the unlikelihood of a cell phone, and I've replied to many of them. Jeffrey Epstein. I need to know who's on that client list. That case completely solidified my distrust in American government. We literally had an opportunity to make a task force to take down the world's most powerful pedophiles and just decided not to for some reason nobody knows. If it doesn't have to be a major case, then my friend's murder. He was killed 10 years ago over Thanksgiving weekend, and his case still remains open today. His family deserves to know. Edit. There were so many replies to this comment it'd take me a very long time to respond. I appreciate the kind words and well wishes. For those in a similar situation, I feel for you. Everyone deserves justice and to truly feel peace. I won't be sharing his details here for privacy, but a well-known podcaster actually saw this post and has reached out, so there is a possibility my friend's story will be shared. There was a kid that went missing right around my hometown when I was a kid. Couple years younger than me. It was on the news a bit, it kind of fizzled out and I haven't been able to find anything since. Still see flyers for him now and then. Kyron Horman. Zodiac Killer. The fucked up thing about that case is we almost had him. He killed a taxi driver, the police came there, but because of reports that a black man had killed the driver, the cops let a suspicious white guy leaving the scene go without questioning him. I heard somewhere that a child saw the suspect and misspoke, referring to a man in shadows as a black man. Worse than you described. He was stopped by the cops while he was fleeing the scene from the taxi murder. They called out from their car, "Hey, you see any black guys around here?" "Yeah, I saw one running that way." He was covered in Paul Stein's blood, but because the cops were looking for a black man, they didn't even stop. He mocked them about that in his next letter to the Chronicle. I was hiding in the bushes in the park. I could hear the cops everywhere. They even stopped me. You are incompetent and I am everything. Still believe the Zodiac Killer was more than one person. Maybe Arthur Lee Allen started it, had a network, or because it went viral so quickly, others jumped on it and became copycats, but the Zodiac Killer didn't mind, as it put the police on the wrong track. Edit. Typo. Solve. Ted Cruz. The boy in the box, especially so because his identity was just told to us today. His full name, which hasn't been known for over 65 years now, is Joseph Augustus Zarelli. John Bonet. Alcatraz escapees. I know it's very recent, but the Idaho College murders. Where is Shelley Miscavige? Jack the Ripper definitely. Time-traveling serial killer fanatic who wanted to meet Jack the Ripper, ends up being Jack the Ripper. Spoiler alert, he's also the Zodiac Killer. D.B. Cooper. Gareth Williams, that MI6 guy who was found dead inside a padlocked suitcase. His death was ruled as a self-inflicted accident, and then later some former KGB guy would claim the KGB killed him after failing to convert him to a double agent.